The Mark Thompson Show.
I'm excited about talking to Jim Avila. Jim Avila, the former White House correspondent for ABC, former senior correspondent there. He has joined us now. Jim Avila, everybody. How about it? Yeah.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. This situation in Pennsylvania is a critical one. It's a critical Senate seat. Dr. Oz just got to Pennsylvania about an hour ago. You know, he's a Jersey resident, but he talks a good game. In fact, that's sort of what his superpower is talking a good game and being comfortable on television. Excuse me. And in the debate situation, there's a premium on those skills, right? Fetterman, obviously, he had an across-the-fence way of speaking on the stump, but now he is labored in his speaking. It's really been tough to watch. Jim, I want to watch a setup piece about the debate, and then I want to get your reaction and breakdown on it, okay? Here's a bit of the coverage of the debate last night in Pennsylvania.
And let's also talk about the elephant in the room. I had a stroke. He's never let me forget that.
Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman started off the hour-long debate assuring voters he's still capable of doing the job of senator 5 months after having a stroke.
I might miss some words during this debate, mush 2 words together, but it knocked me down, but I'm going to keep coming back up.
While his GOP opponent, Dr. Mehmet Oz, went straight to attacking his opponent as soft on crime.
John Fetterman, during this crime wave, has been trying to get as many murderers convicted and sentenced to life in prison out of jail as possible.
He has no experience. He has never made any attempt to try to address crime during his entire career, except showing up for photo ops here in Philadelphia.
The two clashed on abortion.
I don't want the federal government involved with that at all. I want women, doctors, local political leaders, letting the democracy that's always allowed our nation to thrive, to put the best ideas forward so states can decide for themselves.
If you believe that the choice for abortion belongs between you and your doctor, that's what I fight for. Roe v. Wade, for me, should be the law. He celebrated when Roe v. Wade went down.
The abortion decision should be left up to states, and specifically when John Fetterman.
You roll with Doug Mastriano.
John, when I'm done, John, you'll have your turn, John.
And things got heated when they were asked about families struggling with the high cost of college tuition.
Basically, what John Fetterman and Joe Biden are arguing for is for plumbers who didn't go to college and couldn't, for a bunch of reasons, afford it, to pay the bills of lawyers who went to graduate school and haven't paid their debt back.
Dr. Oz, loves free money when it's a $500,000 tax break on one of his, homes down in a ranch in Florida, and whether it was a $50 tax break, about his farm in Montgomery County. So
Fetterman's use of a closed captioning device during the debate, where he read questions in real time on a screen above the moderators, sparked debate on social media, with some observers seeing a strong performance amid recovery, while others cast him as unsteady.
I do support fracking, and I support fracking, and I stand and I do support fracking.
Fetterman would not say if he would release more of his medical records, but argued that he has been transparent.
I believe if my doctor believes that I'm fit to serve, and that's what I believe is appropriate.
All right. So there you have it. That's all you need to hear. And now I want to get to Jim Avila for a breakdown. You watched the entire thing. It was labored, I thought, and you don't even get a sense for how labored in that piece.
Yeah, look, I think that his advisors might be in danger of being sued for malpractice. He was not ready for this debate. His health was not good enough for this debate. His doctors do say that he can carry out the job, and I don't doubt that at all. But a debate where you have to think quickly on your feet and process quickly what you hear and then regurgitate your answer out, and also react when challenged. Fetterman just had a real difficult time with that, and he was not able to do what most debate people do when you saw Oz do it, stick to key talking points. He wasn't able to do that. I mean, every time that Oz brought something up, Fetterman should have ended his response with, "And that's how we do it in Pennsylvania," where you don't live. He should have gone in that over and over again. He should have jumped on when Dr. Oz said that he wanted abortion rights to be decided by women, by the doctors, and by local politicians. That kind of went by. It's been picked up, obviously, online afterwards, but during that debate, it was not picked up on. You have to give Fetterman points for courage and for his positions. But a debate this did not help him. It really did not help him.
Yeah, I would, the last, among the points you made, I'd simply focus on one, and this is important, I think, maybe in terms of outcomes. The number of people that watch a live debate, even a celebrated live debate like this, an anticipated live debate like this, is pretty small. What you're going to see is what we just showed you, which is the media cut up, the Good Morning America presentation or CBS This Morning or et cetera, various news reports. Even in the local news, I watched a lot of Pennsylvania news reports last night, and even those reports gave you the highlights. They gave you pieces of the debate, right? And the virtue for Fetterman in that approach is that you don't see the faltering to which Jim is referring. You end up seeing a guy who, even in that little piece the setup piece that we ran, he looked maybe faltering a bit, but he was also a bit combative. When you actually watched the debate itself, the faltering nature of his delivery really was more along the lines of what Jim is talking about, a guy who sort of couldn't find his moorings, a guy who was struggling to get his thoughts out. And it made you wonder, does he have the thoughts? Does he know what to say? And he's unable to express himself because of these, physical infirmities that he's run into, this stroke? Or does he not have the thoughts? And even someone who's rooting for Fetterman, like myself, thought, wow, this is really, really hard to watch. So, Jim, I think you make a good point. But again, I think it has to be underscored that in the media play, you only see highlights. So perhaps the fact that he was listing so badly may not be as relevant.
Well, a lot of it is in the spin, all over Twitter, all over the clips that you're talking about. Both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party are sending out their own clips. The Democrats sending out the clip about Oz saying that abortion should be decided by local politicians. The Fetterman campaign, the Oz campaign sending out clips of him faltering. The clips, yes, they're better than watching the whole thing, but that fracking answer has appeared in every clip that I've seen and in every news story that I've seen and in every headline talks about him floundering and faltering. That fracking answer showed the degree to which he is having trouble. Now, this is just one aspect. I mean, sure, debate is part of it, but on the Senate floor, there really is no debate. You give a speech and then you sit down. And I don't think he's going to participate in a lot of those. I think, what people are able to do is look past this and look at the policies that they're supporting in which way they vote, whether they vote for a Democrat or a Republican. Also, at stake is the control of the Senate. And, Democrats are going to look at that. But the problem is independents don't care about that as much. And Fetterman's appeal to independents has been strong. But I worry that for people on the fence, watching last night's debate or the clips are going to hurt him. The other thing he should have said over and over again, to Oz was, or what he should have said when he faltered, and he should have maybe had these written down even, is to say, look, I'm having trouble with the communication. I had a stroke. In 6 months, I'm going to be much better. In 6 months, you're still going to be a snake oil salesman. You're still going to be Dr. Oz.
That would have been a great play. Great play. Yeah.
And he said that kind of stuff on Twitter before because it is scripted beforehand and he has help from his advisors.
And he'll have help from staffers if he gets to the Senate. Yeah, I mean, the Senate staff it surrounds these guys to the point that, look, half of them are sleepwalking when they get to the floor of the Senate. I mean, I'm sorry, that's just a
You
fact.
ever heard Grassley talk, Senator Grassley?
Thank you.
From Iowa.
Thank you.
He can't put a tweet together with it making any sense.
Yeah.
So yes, there's a lot of Leahy, who is now in the hospital. Those guys have trouble nowadays talking. There are a lot of old white men in the Senate. It's a shame because Fetterman, as you alluded to, was sort of is a pro-labor, Eastern Pennsylvania type of guy, Western Pennsylvania type of guy, who has tattoos and rarely wears a suit, as you could tell last night from what he was wearing. He connects with middle class people and lower income people. And it's unfortunate that this stroke happened because he's having trouble connecting with them.
That's such a good point. You're seeing a couple of comments along the way here. We put them in the lower part of the screen so you can see what people are saying. But a couple of people are saying, hey, as a stroke victim myself, I can tell you recover. Your mind is still sharp. The connection between your mind and your mouth is something that has to grow back into place, if you will. I had a stroke in 2010. It seems my mouth and brain didn't coordinate well, but my mental ability wasn't affected, says Perry Joe. Yeah.
And there's been a lot of pushback from the disabled community about the criticism in the media and in the Oz campaign about how they've been treating John Fetterman. And I agree with that, that it's not fair to hold him to this standard of Dr. Oz, who's a TV personality, when he has had a disability because of a stroke. But you also have to live in reality. And reality is when the general public sees a performance like that, it raises doubt. I don't think it's going to cause many people, Democrats especially, to change over and vote for a Republican, or even a lot of independents to change their vote. My concern, or what a concern for the Democratic Party ought to be, is that it will drain enthusiasm, that there will be fewer people who will show up at all to vote. And what the Democrats really need is a big outpouring of enthusiasm, which they've got. And I'm not convinced he's going to lose, because I really think overall, and this is a difference between you and me, Mark, as I'm an optimist, is that the abortion Roe versus Wade is even though people poll and say that it's the economy, women have registered across this country 3 times more than males. And they are stoked for this election. And I think we're going to see, and mail-in voting right now is incredibly high in Georgia and in other places across the country. I think there's going to be a lot of surprises, and that the polls are not accurate and are not gauging the enthusiasm among women, and that they're missing that.
Well, I hope you're right. I think that the GOP, as it's configured now, and these candidates represent a real threat to the essence of this country, which is the separation of church and state. It's the evaporation of Roe sort of overnight by the Supreme Court, that was, in my judgment, rigged in terms of numbers. I would suggest there's a real problem with GOP dominance right now. I mean, GOP, if you're watching, get your act together. I think you can make that party better than it is, and we could have real policy discussions. But right now, I don't know what it is. It's its own brand of crazy. These are my opinions, not those of Jim Avila. But I would say that it'll be interesting. I don't feel as though Roe necessarily rallied the electorate the way you're suggesting it did, but you may be right, and you're right. I'm a pessimist, and I'd suggest I'm a realist. I lean pessimist. It's true.
But how do you explain, Mark, the huge
registration
improvement? How do you explain the huge improvement in female registration? That it is way high, and the enthusiasm there, I think, while it was highest in the summer and has left media attention, it's only left media attention. I think in most women who are about 55 to 60% of the voting public, there is an incredible amount of enthusiasm. We'll see. I mean, we only have
Look, I hope you're right.
a couple weeks left.
I really hope you're right. And I hope you'll join us again as we, as the midterms draw closer, and even when the midterm vote is in. I hope you'll join us again. Jim Avila, always cool to see you, man. Thanks.
Good to see you.
Jim Avila, everybody. Come on. Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yeah, Jim Avila.